Fort Ligonier is a beautiful historical site in Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania. A British colonial outpost was active here in the mid-18th century. Although the reconstructed fort's defenses remain daunting, the fortifications and guns often sit quietly today. The main noise comes from passing cars on nearby U.S. Route 30. But Fort Ligonier is not always silent or still. Historians, museum staff, colonial reenactors, and visitors love to bring the fort back to life. Great care is always taken. No detail is spared. An event at Fort Ligonier is truly something worth seeing.
You can never tell when a skirmish is going to happen, but I have a feeling one might be happening here soon. All right, so just give us a few moments here, folks.
Alarm zu den Waffen! Befindet sich! They put their thumb on the touch hole, okay?
There you go. Round of applause.
Fort Ligonier Museum is an amazing facility that supports general education and tourism. However, the museum is also a state-of-the-art research facility for professional historians and archaeologists. To continually improve upon their impressive museum collections, Fort Ligonier partners with universities and other organizations to discover more artifacts and fill in the gaps in the historical record. An important and ongoing partnership with Juniata College is the Veterans Archaeology Program, which will dig for artifacts again this year. The concept is simple. Professionals coach and mentor military veterans and students. This year, the mission is to identify and verify where the Colonial Militias from Maryland and Virginia accidentally fired upon each other in 1758. Soldiers didn't remain within the confines of Fort Ligonier in 1758. They ventured out for food and water. They conducted patrols and other military operations in the areas around the fort. To find the site of the friendly fire incident, Dr. Burns' team will have to use more than written records and old maps. They'll have to dig. The goal is to find evidence in the ground using metal detectors and shovels. The most likely evidence will be old metal objects from the period. If the team is successful, it could shed light on the incident's most famous participant, George Washington, who was a young colonel in the Virginia militia at the time of the incident. Our project leaders can tell you more.
Hello, I'm Matt Galt, the Director of Education here at Fort Ligonier, and the sun is finally shining, so that means that spring is on its way, and of course our 2022 events and activities are going to be happening, and we're greatly looking forward to those. But today I'm here with Dr. Jonathan Burns, and we're going to be working together here again, because over the last few years it's been a pleasure to get to know you. So maybe, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing this summer, Doctor?
Sure, thanks, Matt. As you know, we've been returning here for several years working with veterans and mixing archaeological field training with their experience and sort of developing this way of interpreting cultural resources. So last summer we had a lot of fun with the group of veterans. We crossed the road here and we're looking for any evidence of the October 12th attack on Loyal Hannah. And we think we were pretty successful in that. And using metal detectors is a way to cover a lot of ground and to bring these veterans along is all the better, because this is a military site and their insights are very much appreciated. So we're extremely excited about this summer we will be going after the alleged friendly fire site, the infamous event that occurred that involved George Washington and their units mistaking one another for the French and Indian attackers. We want to look for, so we have the history to overlap, but now we want to find evidence of these encounters. And lead balls that are shot in clusters, we can find those with metal detectors and help pinpoint where this event actually took place. And in the future, then you know where it is. We can commemorate it. It's no longer quite as much of a mystery. So we're excited.
Right, and we're really looking forward to having you back out here with those veterans, and if we can answer some of those questions, it's going to be great for the historical field. So let's find it, right?
Can't wait.
Yeah.
George Washington features prominently into the story at Fort Ligonier, and some of his original writings from the period are actually preserved here. The information from Washington is critical, as Matt explains.
Washington's own account of the friendly fire incident probably depicts it in the best form that we know it as, and that is in these remarks that were written 30 years later, where he is recounting his time during the French and Indian War.
Beyond Washington's own account, other records exist to literally help us paint a picture of what happened on November 12, 1758.
In the Washington Gallery at Fort Ligonier, there's a representation of the friendly fire incident in this painting done by Chaz Fagan called Flashpoint. That depicts Washington going in between the two musket fires of the Virginian troops and trying to put an end to this friendly fire incident by knocking up the presented pieces with his saber. This put Washington's life in the most jeopardy it had ever been before or since.
It's time now to depart the fort. The team must head off in the direction of the friendly fire incident site. Many experts believe the site is in a rural area just outside of Ligonier, Pennsylvania.
Behind me where you see this tree line is where we believe that Forbes Road actually came up through here and continued on to what we would know today as Pittsburgh, or then would have been Fort Duquesne. General Forbes was building and constructing this road which will allow him to accomplish his goal of taking Fort Duquesne from the French. Now also in this vicinity is where we believe somewhere that the friendly fire incident actually occurred that put Washington's life in incredible danger. We're hoping to find that incident site this summer with Dr. Jonathan Burns.
Standing on this section of the Forbes Road that's paved today, you can see how steep this terrain is, and can't help but imagine what it was like for these troops to clash on that fateful day over 250 years ago. Delighted to see that this 10 acres is fairly open. We should be able to quickly cover ground and start finding the evidence that we need to actually definitively say the friendly fire incident happened right along this section of the Forbes Road.
To continue planning, the team must return to the museum. To find metal artifacts at the site, Dr. Burns plans to use metal detectors. Fortunately, he has a battlefield archaeologist and metal detector guru in mind to train his team for this purpose.
Hi, I'm Chris Espentry. I'm a senior technical advisor with New South Associates, archaeological firm. I have about 20 years experience now metal detecting, or teaching best practices for metal detecting on military sites. As you know, most of the artifacts that survive from a battlefield, as you can see some in the case behind me, they're almost all metal. So archaeologists realize, going back 20 or 30 years, that if you go out and do the usual site discovery method of just digging a hole, random holes across there, you don't find much from the battlefield. But when you start applying metal detecting, regimented metal detecting, where you know what you've covered, you can GPS plot every artifact you find, you start seeing patterns on the battlefield, you start interpreting that as lines, positions on the battlefield, and start reconstructing what happened in the battle. We found that working with veterans, this is a skill that they readily pick up, and they can understand, almost they have a natural understanding of what should be on a battlefield, what it would mean. They're very good at also reading the topography.
We know that all the professionals and volunteers on our team will enjoy learning more from Mr. Espenshade this summer.
Speaking from myself and for the folks here at Ligonier, we hope to see you this summer for our project to find the friendly fire site.
We hope you'll join us. To learn more, please contact Fort Ligonier Museum or Juniata College Archaeology.